Hey, how's it going? So today is day number 17 inside of a 30-day video challenge. And the thing that I want to talk to you about today is just simplifying your marketing message, because when you simplify your marketing message, you'll be able to attract people who don't understand some of the things that you are already putting out there. Man, I just got finished with having quote unquote dinner, and my dinner essentially consists of some Ritz crackers, very appetizing, very great, very good stuff. And then in addition to that, I had myself some Jamaican rum cake. Now, I'm not a drinker. I don't drink. I don't consume alcohol. However, after having that cake, it feels as though I was just consuming some alcohol. And even though I didn't consume any alcohol, there was just that much rum inside of that cake, and it was pretty good. So let me revise that statement. So there is one type of alcohol that I do consume, and I guess the way that I can compare it to a Bailey's, right? So Bailey's is an alcoholic drink that is served. It's creamy, it's milky, and that's an alcoholic drink that is served here, probably everywhere, right? In the liquor stores and ABC liquor store and so forth. So the chain type of liquor stores, I've seen that type of drink in there. Well, I call the Haitian version of that is called cremas. So it's some form of liquor, and it's very creamy and it's very milk based. I was introduced to that type of a drink at a very early age, and I've embraced it ever since. Even though you won't necessarily catch me drinking anything else, but if I go to a party and that drink is available, I will certainly be having myself some cremas, which again is the I guess the American version or the brand version of Bailey's. So that's what I just had for dinner, and I feel as though I am I just consume some actual alcohol even though I don't drink. All right, so basically today the thing that I want to talk about is I want to talk about just simplifying your marketing message, because I found when we don't simplify our marketing message, we may not necessarily reach some of the individuals that we desire to reach. I remember working as a financial aid officer, helping students to receive federal financial aid so that way they can go to school, and that way they can go ahead and receive funding. And as with most jobs, sometimes there's acronyms and sometimes there's jargon that people who work within that organization understand. However, the clients may not necessarily, understand. So I remember, one of the funding types that students were eligible for back when I worked there was Pell. We could say, hey, student, you're eligible for Pell. This is one of the funding types that you're eligible for. Well, from an inside language standpoint, we knew what the word Pell meant. We knew that it meant free money that the student didn't have to pay back. But if I'm saying to the student, hey, you're eligible for a Pell and you're eligible for this, the student may not necessarily understand that. And that became very clear to me one day when a student walked into my office, and the student walked into my office with a copy of their worksheet. So when we were delivering the financial aid, and when we were delivering the financial aid to students, we would give them a worksheet, and that worksheet would give them a breakdown as to the type of financial aid that they were eligible for. So you have money that the student doesn't have to pay back, and then you have money that the student does have to pay back. Well, the explanation of that worksheet, the way that we explain the information on that worksheet, we were using inside jargon. We were using phrases such as SCOG, and that's an inside phrase, right? The student doesn't necessarily know what that means. We were using other phrases such as FSA. We were using other phrases such as Pell. And so when we were delivering this stuff to the student, we were using inside knowledge that the student wouldn't necessarily understand. And at some point later down the line, we had to change that worksheet so that that worksheet can spell out to the student exactly what does Pell mean. Pell Grant means that it's free money that you do not have to pay back. What does subsidized loan mean? Subsidized loan mean that you're taking out a loan and it's interest-free up until this time. So we went back and we revised our worksheets to be able to spell out to the students precisely what it is that we were saying, so that way that they understand it. Granted, sometimes when we were delivering the information to the student, we were delivering it one-on-one, but from a reference standpoint, sometimes the students need to go back and reference the information, and if we're not there to explain it to them, it needs to be as clear as possible. So we went back and we did that, and the clarity around the information made it just that much more easier for students to understand. And I was recently reminded of something very similar to that in my business. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I kept using the word, hey, as part of the process, one of the things that I'm going to help you to do is I'm going to help you to set up a lead generation process. And the person just kept asking me, what is lead generation? The person was like, hey, this person told me, hey, I keep hearing this term, but I have no idea as to what lead generation means. So I had to take a step back and say, hey, you know what lead generation is? Lead generation is kind of like if someone who is interested in what it is that you do and has decided to go to your calendar and set up a time on your calendar to speak with you. They provided you with their name, they provided their email address, and they decided to schedule a time on your calendar. So, I had to take a step back and explain to that person what lead generation means, so that way they can understand it. Another terminology I was using the terminology lead magnet. The person said, hey, so what is a lead magnet? Basically, a lead magnet is, how you can create a 5 or 7 minute video that shares with your audience some valuable insight as to how they can solve a small problem. It can be showing them how to make a cake. It can be showing them how to do so many different things. That type of a content is a resource. It's a guide. It's information that's helpful to your target audience. And when you have information like that, you can ask people for their email address in exchange for that free resource, in exchange for that free guide. Granted, yes, they can go to YouTube and get it, but you can also make it be so that they provide you with their email address in exchange for that free resource and or in exchange for that free guide. And when I started to explain these different things to that individual, they understood the terminology just that much better. Sometimes, right, I'm very guilty of that. Sometimes we are speaking certain jargons and we are under the assumption that individuals that we're trying to attract to us understand what some of those things, some of those jargons mean. I challenge you to take a step back and to say, okay, based on some of the things that I am talking about when I'm trying to communicate and or convey messages to my audience, am I using a jargon only a more seasoned person will understand? Am I using more inside jargon? And if you are using more inside jargon, I challenge you to take a couple of different steps back and just try to explain it in a more simplified process. Because when you can explain it in a more simplified process, what's going to happen is that the person will be like, oh, okay, I understand that. Oh, okay, I can relate to that. And when they understand that, and when you make it so that way they can relate to it, what's going to happen is that you're going to be able to connect with people that perhaps you haven't been able to connect with in the past, and thereby allow those individuals to just come just that much closer to you. So that's one of the things that I, recently, again, I was having a conversation with someone the other day that I identified that I need to do differently. So I wanted to come on live and share with you that perhaps that's something that you need to do differently as well. You keep it simple. Yeah, Anika says simple and sweet. If you can keep it simple and sweet, that's ideal. I'm going to do my best to work on that as well, because obviously I haven't been doing, the best job of doing so, because I'm under the assumption, of course, everyone knows what a marketing funnel is. Of course, everyone knows what the automation process is, and everyone knows what an upsell and all these other, jargons and terminology that I'm using, and whereby there could be people that's going through the circumstance, but they just don't understand what it is that you are saying. So take a step back and explain it in as layman's terms as possible. And my guess is when you do that, more people is going to take that small step and get that much closer to you. Again, I was just coming to you live with day number 17. The word funnel scares everyone. Yeah, because some people think, Anika, some people think the word funnel means funnel cake. You're right. The word funnel can be a scary word. So then it's just a matter of finding a different way to explain what is a, what is a funnel. What is a funnel? Funnel is basically just a series of steps that someone can go through in order to do business with you. So yeah, you're right. So I think what I'm probably going to do, you just gave me an idea for my next live. Thank you, Anika. What I'm going to do is I'm going to probably make my next live be what is a funnel, what is a marketing funnel, and to try to explain it in as layman's terms as possible. Translate in plain English. Yeah, you're right. Translating in plain English is definitely hard. So that is what I will be doing next. I'll be talking about marketing funnel, and I'll be talking about it in plain English. I won't talk about it in Creole because I don't think my audience would understand it if I spoke about it in Creole. Although I'm of Haitian descent, although I was born in in Haiti, explaining some of this stuff in Creole can be a challenge for me. Yeah, I can explain some things, but not 100%, everything. So I will certainly be having that live in English so that everyone understand it, and I will try to make it be as plain English as possible. That's it. That's all that I have. If you happen to be catching me via the replay, just hit pound replay. Let me know where you are tuning in from. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon. Cheers.